34F, asked my husband, 43M, for a divorce. How do I tell my son, 13M? I, 34F, asked my husband, 43M, for a divorce. We've been together for 11 years. Relevant background info. He met me when I was a single mom in college. He lived only a mile away from me. I was making a 2-hour bus ride to and from college with a 2-year-old at the time. My son, 13M, has been involved with my husband who helped raise him since he was barely a toddler. My son loves him and calls him Dad, despite him having active contact with his bio dad. He sees bio dad every other weekend and extra time during breaks from school. My husband has been his tertiary parent for so long. I just can't be in this relationship anymore. My relationship was so good for our first 5 years. My husband was kind, supportive, and loving. But the last 6 years he's just been mean, negative, and constantly rude to me. I've tried so long to tell him how I feel because of how he treats me, but nothing changes. I had to do to myself what I've been asking of him. I had to treat myself with the respect and kindness to get out. I just don't know how to tell my son. Please, any advice is appreciated. I don't have a plan or anywhere to go yet, I just need help. The number one thing I would suggest: make sure he knows it is not his fault. Because most adults don't even think of that, because to them, it's obvious, but that's almost always where the child's brain goes. It is very, very common for the kid to just assume it's their fault their parents are divorcing. I would explain to him, in an age-appropriate way, that sometimes people change and relationships don't work out. Don't smear his dad, it's not his business what his father is like as a husband. Just explain that you've both changed as people, you've reprioritized your lives, and the relationship is no longer working because of it. And that this is a normal part of life that many people experience. You tell him that you're getting a divorce, and that you know that it will be hard for him, and that you will be there for him. Get into family counseling if you can. He has probably seen your husband be unkind to you. You can also tell him that one of the hard things about life is that we can't control other people. We can only decide what we're going to do if someone is unkind to us, and we do not have to stay in relationships with people who do not make a good faith effort to make you feel loved and cared for, and you can't stay in a relationship with someone who is dismissive and rude. At 13 years old, your son probably has enough maturity to understand the reasons you're leaving. I wouldn't expect a fully mature response from a young teen, but over time, if you give him a chance to process what's happening, he'll probably accept it. He might be most concerned about practical things that he doesn't have any control over, like where you will live, whether you will still be able to see your husband, whether you are being hurt, if he did something wrong, whether he'll have to change schools. If you can listen to him patiently and try to understand the questions he has, it'll go a long way in helping him accept and come to his own peace with what's happening. It is important to let him know it is not his fault. It is also important for him to know that you don't treat women this way. It is not okay. He can continue to have a relationship, but you are out. I would not say anything mean or unkind about him, but I wouldn't gloss over his actions either. Read, Why Does He Do That? PDF free download by Lundy Bancroft. Free Books Mania. Get your ducks in a row and choose yourself. As far as your son goes, you show him, this isn't the way to treat a wife. Your son probably sees more than you realize. Your husband is setting the example of how a man treats his wife, to your son. Is this the example you want your son to live up to, or down to? You tell that wonderful boy of yours, this isn't about him. It's about you and the jerk. You tell your son all women, deserve love, trust, respect, basic human kindness. Your upcoming divorce is about you and husband. The kiddo is just as loved, just as amazing, now, as always. The basis for the divorce isn't about the kiddo, but it's also because you want better for him. You want a peaceful, loving, happy home. You don't have that now. But you will make it happen. I, 21F, completely embarrassed myself drunk in front of my BFS, 28M, family. Hello. I've been on a 10-day trip visiting my boyfriend's family, mother's side, out of state. Last night, we went wine tasting, and I got completely hammered. I kept telling my boyfriend to have a good relationship with his dad, and completely lost my mind crying about my own poor relationship with my dad. I kept repeating the same shit over and over again, and just was acting extremely strange. I think I made people feel uncomfortable. Does anyone know how I can recover from this? I think I should apologize, but I also don't know if I should just pretend like nothing happened and let it all blow over. I'm also embarrassed I'm such a lightweight that I got that drunk from just wine tasting. Definitely don't try to pretend like nothing happened. That would be the worst way to handle it. If you want to twist a better impression out of it, you bring it up first, take ownership, and emphasize that this is why you don't drink often, much. Most likely, they'll be impressed by the maturity it takes to handle the aftermath in an adult fashion. I would make a joke and say, well, now you all know why I never drink. I'm sorry if I made anyone uncomfortable. To you this is a big thing, to us older people it's just another person learning their drinking limits. Not that it's going to help you any. I did more stupid shit before the age of 18 than you will do your entire life. We started drinking between 13 and 15. Now that I am 50 plus, I never touch the stuff anymore. Don't sweat the small stuff, life moves on. Edited, corrected spelling. You went to a wine tasting and got drunk. Not a surprise. Then drunk you got all soppy and then sad. Also not a massive surprise. Laugh it off with an apology for being a teary drunk. Then forget about it. Next time, bring a spit bucket to the wine tasting. If you were my son's girlfriend and that happened, believe me it would not be a permanent mark against you lol. Apologize, do not pretend it didn't happen. Any good parent and family will sympathize. They went on a wine tasting so they're drinkers. Believe me, we've all got our own embarrassing drunk stories. My husband, 30M, did something that scared me and I'm not sure what I, 30F, do now. My husband has struggled with addiction for 15 years. I knew this of course when I chose to marry him. He's always been in the process of healing, i.e. inpatient treatment, therapy, We've been together for 7 years and although he's done well stepping away from hard drugs, alcohol and prescription drugs have become an issue. I was nervous on Christmas about his drinking, and we went to a party at our neighbor's house. We invited some of them back to our house later in the evening, and he was falling over and became embarrassing to be around. He's always struggled with worrying about me cheating on him, and this has been a theme especially during meth psychosis where he thinks he has found some sort of evidence of that. These things that feel very real to him during psychosis carry over into his sober mind. When the neighbors were at our house, he thought that I was trying to sleep with one of them. He got agitated and asked them to leave. When I went upstairs to the bedroom he recalls that he thought the neighbor was trying to follow me up and then tried to beat them up. I closed the door, afraid, and he didn't like that and broke our entire door frame down in an angry rage. I ran to the bathroom and locked the door and called a friend and he left me alone, then passed out on the couch 10 minutes later. He says this was an accident and if I acted differently this wouldn't have happened, and hasn't given a genuine apology and thinks I should apologize. Is it time to part ways? I would consider stepping away. Seek the safety of your friends or family during the transition. Yes, 1000%. You are being abused and he is also gaslighting you. Please make an immediate plan about securing your physical. Stay with a family member or friend. Let someone close to you know about this situation immediately. Financial, gather your valuables, passport, cards, etc. And emotional. Find a therapist sooner than later, and get a lawyer. Please when you leave don't be alone with him, always have someone by your side. Much love to you, you will find happiness. He is an abuser and manipulator bringing you down with him. You're not his mother, let him go. Move back home with family. Get a job and take control of your life. You're young, you got this. No more booze in the house anymore, your safety is in peril. If he can't do this for you, then he will definitely put his fist through your face later on while drunk. He's evolving on a downward spiral. Your survival is something you have control over, don't put it in the hands of a careless, reckless person. You're going to die trying to save someone who doesn't even want to save themselves. It's time to put that energy towards saving yourself. This time he broke the door, doesn't even feel a little bit remorseful, the next time it will be your face, and then the cycle continues until he kills you whether accidentally or in a jealous rage. Sadly, yes, when you start to be fearful and he loses control to cause physical damage to your home, you could be next. He may not be beyond help, but he's beyond what you can help. Separate for now, perhaps it will give him the strength to pull himself together and become sober for real. People with any type of addiction will just move on to another type of addiction so they need to avoid all drugs and alcohol. If he can't do that and stay sober, you deserve better and should move on without him. Best of luck to you. Boyfriend is convinced I have been cheating. 36F 36 male. My 36F boyfriend 35 male has been convinced that I am cheating. He claims he has paid somebody to hack my computer and passwords. And claims he has found my partners in dating sites. He claims this is because of old emails I have that I use as backups to my main account. But is really claiming that the person he paid exposed me. Big problem here is I have not done any of those things. I've never cheated, I don't have dating profiles. Hell, I barely get to talk to my friends or family because he freaks out. He accused me of being gay because when a female coworker of mine came around he was drunk and high and embarrassing, therefore I wasn't touch with him. He claims this means I have a secret crush on her and wants to act cool. I tried to explain his behavior was cringy and embarrassing, but no, but I have a secret crush. I have told him I'm going to move out and won't tolerate the accusations. Also, I gave him until January 1st to get a job because in 2.5 years he's been unemployed for all but maybe 7 months of it total. And was fired from his last job for an argument with his supervisor. I have devolved into name calling such as, little bitch, or other, emasculating, terms as he says because the insane accusations are making me nuts and I can't help to lash back when someone is constantly accusing me of shitty things. Recently he found out we got a credit on our power bill but I never deducted that from the amount we put in the joint account. Seeing as we both put the equal $1,200 and spend it only on household joint purchases. He claims I've made him pay bills that don't exist, but it's just the extra being used for Costco runs Walmart etc. And once again I'm paying equal amount into the joint. We've been dating 2.5 years. I guess my question is when do I call a family member of his because it's like scary delusional and I'm worried for him? Edit. Clarification: should I call his family so they can help him? My concern is more for you. This doesn't sound like a safe situation for you to be in. When did he begin this bizarre behavior? Why would you stay with someone who tells you they think you are an awful human being? I'm sorry you are dealing with this, the moving out is a good idea. Help me out here, why would you stay with someone who doesn't trust you, who doesn't assume the best about you, who doesn't give you the benefit of the doubt? It's hard enough in relationships to have to justify or explain stuff you've actually done. It would be exhausting to regularly accused of things you haven't done. Break up, move on, look up dating an insecure man red flags and be amazed at how well they align. The time is now to involve family. You've wasted 2.5 years, don't waste another second. Godspeed and know your worth. It'll be tough but think of all the nights you've spent feeling miserable and how those will be behind you. Also get a therapist and discuss the possibility of narcissistic abuse. Call them today, warn them you will be leaving him in X number of days and that you think his delusions may be psychosis and that they may need to monitor him. Also warn your own family and friends of your fears. In my experience, when a man starts to accuse you of cheating with no proof or reason, then he is the one cheating. He is distracting you so you would not look too closely at what he is doing.